You really have to go, and you have to go fast. And you're gonna learn. The faster you go, the faster you'll learn. And so don't see things as a failure. Just keep pushing forward in it and analyzing the data.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Her Table, Her Rules. I'm Juliet Peters, your host, and I am excited to have with me today Danielle Thompson, who is the co-founder of Broadcast Your Authority and the Wealthy Woman podcast, which is what I really want to talk about today, because I think this movement, right, to get women more comfortable with talking about and building wealth is really important. So, in your main business, you are the queens of podcasting, right? So you help produce all manners of podcasts. What drew you sort of to creating a podcast specifically dealing with women generating wealth?
I think for me, so I went to school for marketing. I got an MBA in marketing. And I saw, Tamara and I were able to scale the business to 7 figures rather quickly. And then when I actually learned the statistic of people, there's 9 out of 10 women do not even hit 6 figures.
Oh, I know.
6 figures. It's 100,000 a year. So that means 88% of women are under 100K a year. And Tamara and I were talking about it. We're like, why is that? What are the barriers? What are the limiting beliefs? What is really happening where these women are having trouble scaling? And for everybody, it's a little bit different. Some people don't even care about scaling, right? But for us, what we see scaling as is a way to be able to give back and to give back more to the people that we care about for causes we care about. And so that's really important to us. We've also been able to help our families. We've been flying them out to different states to spend time with us as well. And so and also being able to scale team, because we're providing jobs for these employees where they're able to now go buy homes, go buy cars, have more kids. And so there's only 1.9% of women that actually hit seven figures annually.
Yep.
And that percentage of women are the ones that are employing the workforce.
Right.
And so I feel really prideful in what we've built, and we want to be able to help more women do that as well.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that I'm sensitive to, right, is that I don't want to be the messenger for pushing women to scale when they don't want to scale.
Exactly.
Right? It's perfectly acceptable to have a lifestyle business and to maximize your lifestyle business, to do as much as you can within the confines of that, right? Mm-hmm. But what I do want to talk about, and I know you've had so many conversations with women since you started this podcast, is when I hear a woman say they don't want to scale, often I wonder if that's a limiting belief. So, I'm all for women saying I don't want to scale because it really is a lifestyle decision. They're at a point where the kids are little or they've got family whatever the reason, that I'm down with that, right? But if you're saying that because you're fearful, for example, of bringing on team, which I hear a lot, right? Women who don't want, I've been there. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen on the team front. You know what I mean? And so that is, how do you kind of get past that point where you analyze why is it that you're really not wanting to grow and push through that?
That's beautiful to think about. Actually, I'll give you an example. When I first met Tamara, amazing videographer and editor. And actually she would edit videos by the time she would send it to the client was like, wow, this is beautiful. They start crying and they're like, no edits, which is very rare in the film industry, because a lot of people are like, no, we need to edit on this, or they send you a whole trail of edits. And so when we first started working together, because I have an operations background, I was an operations manager for many years with a company in my 20s. So I had a team of 30 and then I got promoted and I had a team of 60. So I was helping lead a team of people, and I have to credit my mentors on that, my bosses that oversaw even me, because they taught me how to have emotional intelligence and to train the team. Anyway, so when I partnered with Tamara, the first thing I noticed was she really had a love for editing, but at the same time, I was like, if you really want to scale this company, like you have to release that. You have to show the core values and team, like share those core values that you have, your eye for incredible details. She's incredibly detail oriented. And also how to share that story more in editing, like teach the team, instill that in the team. And she actually was receptive of that feedback. And she started building the team out and started training the editors. But there's people like, and her mom is a good example. She's incredible at interior design. And honestly, you have to have an eye for interior design because I don't.
Right.
I like this plant, I don't know where it should go in the house. Right. Like you tell me.
Yeah.
And so like when people have that passion for what they do, they find a lot of joy in it. Maybe they don't want to scale a team. Like her mom would hire people, but she would keep taking the work back.
Yeah.
Because she was a perfectionist. She really loved what she did. And so, yeah, it's not everybody's mission, like you said, to scale a company. But let's be real. Inflation isn't going up. Like inflation is crazy. Yeah. The cost of living is crazy. And it's like if most people are not even making 6 figures in their company, what are we doing this for?
Yeah. That I think is, it kind of, I hearken back to a story from a training that I was giving last week on negotiation. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that was a shocker for me was this was a room full of business owners, and they were all well along in their career. These were not newbies, right? And when we got to the part where we were talking about negotiating fees for your business, 2 people in the room, one of them said, yeah, I really haven't raised my fees since 2009. I was like, say what now? 2009? No. What? And the other person said, well, I know I could charge more, but my overhead isn't that high. Okay, not have anything to do, right? And so I bring those up not to shame, but the fact that we're still having these conversations, and these women were both in their 50s and both running very successful businesses, but we're still having conversations that are not the right approach to money. You don't set your prices based on how much your overhead is. You set the prices based on the value, right? So what do we need, where do you see us having to do the work around this?
It really is looking at the value that you're offering. Yeah. Like every time, like we've hired a lot of business mentors ourselves over the years. And the number one thing they always say is raise your rates. But if your value is not reflecting like the rate, like you're going to lose that client within when the contract ends. Yeah. So it's like, how do you give more value, but at the same time, you're increasing your rates, and you want to keep it simple. Like you don't want to have like a super complex system or, offer because then it's not going to be scalable. Yeah. And so like you have to find a rate that makes sense within your audience that you're currently attracting. Like when we first started, our rates were very low. And we scaled really slow. Like the first few years in business, like that was like our first 6-figure year. Yeah. And it's because our rates were so low. So we had to learn to increase our rates, but we also had to get better at marketing. Yeah. That's the problem that a lot of people are encountering is if they don't know how to market properly, they're attracting not the right audience. So like when you're doing your paid ads or when you're doing other type of copy on your landing pages, like you need to have qualifiers. Like it needs to be like if you're trying to attract 10 million and up companies, it needs to be all on your landing pages and your videos. Like it needs to be throughout your content, because what happens is if you're running ads on Facebook or Instagram, like it's gonna like the algorithm sees the type of copy you have and it's going to allocate it to certain demographics. So the demographics have to be more dialed in for most people. And if you have like a local business, you need to have more marketing in it that reflects the location. So you need to have more geo targeting and location based targeting. And I think it's just like a lot of things that people are not really quite thinking about. Like even for us, like we have 2 different primary audiences. We have our entrepreneurs, we have our coaches, but we also have our corporate clients. We have many corporate clients that are in like cybersecurity or real estate or other areas, but we have 2 different ad sets. We have it for the entrepreneurs and then we have it for the corporations. And so it's just really getting clear on what that targeting looks like. And also not being afraid to just test things. Like most of the time, people scratch it completely. Like they'll have an ad and they're like, it's not performing. They make one freaking little tweak.
Yeah.
That ad faucet, that water faucet just comes running out of the faucet or whatever. And like, so not completely scratching things so fast. Like people are like, I'm going to just change my whole business model. But what if it's that little tweak that you needed to make and within your copy, within your ads, within your creatives, that's going to drive the correct traffic?
Yeah. And I do think there's a little piece there related to sort of women and their willingness to experiment. Because I think sometimes, we tend to run a little bit more conservative financially, generally speaking. And I think that, sometimes somebody may say that feels wasteful, like to run something and then to turn around and scrap it. But sometimes you should scrap things, right? And other times you need to double down and try something new. I think the thing that's really tough in this environment is with, I know lots of people who spent a lot of money on SEO, right? Well, SEO is changing. It might completely go away because of AI has lessened the cost, right, of what you can do on that front. So I think people get confused, to be honest. There's so much happening. Nobody knows where they should be putting their marketing or their ad spend.
Yeah, the thing about SEO is like the game has changed and a lot of business owners know that, but you're still having like keywords on your YouTube titles. You're having the keywords in your tags, and you're what we're seeing is people are starting to rank in ChatGPT now. So the traffic is coming from ChatGPT and other sources. So who knows, maybe Google will just disappear one day, but we still have ChatGPT and all these other like Llama, like Mark Zuckerberg's Llama. Like people are using different softwares, so like you have to figure out how to get ranked in those softwares now too.
Yeah, it's interesting. I did as an experiment. Everyone should chat GPT themselves. Yeah. They really should, and they should see what's in there. Yeah. I will tell you, thank you very much, because your ad copy and the stuff related to the podcast all came up in ChatGPT, so I know it's working, right?
There you go.
So, but I mean, it really is an interesting experiment because it does help you know, well, what's out there and where do you? I mean, it's not the end game, right? But at least it gives you some sense of where you might be at. What do you think is next for, helping women sort of bust through this limiting wealth beliefs that women have?
I think we go back to you have to be willing to test things. Like you can't just be over here like, I'm going to be like spending $5 a day on ads or whatever that looks like. You really have to go, and you have to go fast, and you're going to learn. The faster you go, the faster you'll learn. And so like, don't see things as a failure. Just keep pushing forward in it and analyzing the data, because I'm very like,
data over drama.
Yeah, I'm very analytical. Yeah. Data over drama. Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
So if you pay attention to the numbers, you're going to know what's working and what's not.
Yeah.
And you could turn off what's not working and double down on what is working. But don't completely turn something off because maybe it's starting to drive the wrong traffic. You have to figure out, okay, how can we like fix it to optimize for the correct marketing to come in? So.
Yeah, I think this is really interesting, and I would love to continue to have more conversations, because I think you're doing really, really important work by really kind of walking through with women, where are we holding ourselves back? And I think you're right, the picture is a little complicated because every person has their own money story, and I would say you got to get through those money stories. You have to identify what your money story is. And I've said this before, I'm actively working through this. I didn't know I had a money story, right? I didn't know I had a money story, but my money story is money is a corrupting influence, right?
Oh,
so
God.
Of course I was, you know what I mean? So because that's how I saw money.
Did you grow up like that?
A certain amount of money, yes and no. I grew up in a very lower middle class.
Me too.
So, but I had members in my family who were entrepreneurial and who did, well. But I saw a little bit of, not lack of integrity, but I saw things that were off based on money, right? And how people sort of perceived it or whatever. And so that got into my head. And so I always wondered, why can go so far but not, farther, right? Why was that? And it's because I equated money with corruption. So, you got to crack through those, whatever your own individual belief is. But you got to work on it. You really got to, because we're holding ourselves back by not.
I grew up in a lower middle class family, and my mom's thoughts are exact same. Like, money is evil, yada, yada, yada. And like, when I was growing up and I saw my friends shopping, they're going to the malls, they're going on vacations. We never went on vacations. I didn't have money to shop. So it was like, I saw it as a form of like energy. Like, how do I get to different levels in life, and how am I able to give it back? Because even when I was really poor in the beginning, before we started the business, let me take that back, because I did work a corporate job, so I had a salary. But when I quit my corporate job, we literally started the company from scratch. Like, no funding, nothing.
That's how I started my company, from scratch. No clients.
No funding, no generational wealth. We're creating that generational wealth. And actually, the way generational wealth looks like for us is like, because we don't have kids, like, we're just going to give back to entrepreneurs and maybe our families and stuff like that. But I think it's just about changing the mindset around money being evil. It's there are people in the world that are doing really good things. Like, even before we had money, and this was the story I was previously about to tell, but like, we would go to different gas stations around the holidays, and I would just like put a bunch of money in a bunch of different pumps, and I would just leave. And so like, people like being able to give back, even if you don't have a lot to start with, makes you feel so good. And like, the dopamine is just like amazing.
Well, and I know we're out of time. We could talk about this forever, but the research is clear that women who build wealth put the money back into the community, back into their kids, and we need that, because we have so many issues that we're dealing with and going to continue to deal with.
That's why women should be wealthier, because we have emotional, not everybody, but like, there's more emotional intelligence and empathy there to be able to give back and help the economy more. Absolutely. So I'm really happy to be here with you today. I appreciate you as a client and friend as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks. And I hope you tune in next time to Her Table, Her Rules. Thanks for being here. Thanks so much, Danielle.